So this is a very short bio for a very, very accomplished gentleman. And I'll just start kind of sharing some of the things that he has done and is doing. So he's an award-winning thought leader with expertise in circular economy, disaster management, humanitarian logistics, which is very big, structured finance, MSME and capacity development, and most of all, nation building. His work spans nature conservation, water, urban planning, youth and women environment, impact finance and humanitarian relief. He's an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, adventure sports, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, leadership sports, and other areas of human potential activation. And lately, this is kind of the big thing, he's been coordinating humanitarian relief operations in the Ukraine since the war began. And he founded the World Economic Summit, which is happening this summer in August in Bangalore in India. And he's also the founder of Vision India 2032, which is happening obviously in 9 years from now. And as I said, this is just a short little bio of a very, very busy man. So welcome, Sensei. Feel free to just kind of come in and say hi to everybody. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you with this World Economic Summit, we're going to build on how you actually got to that place of where you are at this moment. So could you share with us a little bit about your family background that has influenced this world of humanitarianism?
First of all, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. Namaste to everybody and aloha. First of all, Gina, thanks in being a good friend, being a good, confidant, and a good supporter and a well-wisher. So I'm extremely glad to be here on the show with you. Secondly, how we came about it, well, it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. The World Economic Summit actually came together in 2018, and then we launched it in 2019. And I did receive my Thought Leadership Award and then also a felicitation in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was asked to be a conference director. And I was accepting it, in the process of accepting, as I do everything, I do my due diligence. Something during the course of the event did not sound right. The values of what the participants would take. I had put together about 350 plus participants from around the planet on sustainability. Now, these are practicing sustainable development professionals, and they don't want to waste time nor sit in a conference or a platform where they're getting sold and not being able to roll up the sleeves and do the impact work that will benefit the stakeholders around the planet. So we walked away from it, and then the same group of friends asked me, why don't you build a platform for us all, including me? And we're all practicing sustainable development professionals. And what turned out to be that I went into hiding for almost about 20 days, and then my wife was really concerned what happened to me, but then again, I showed up with a blueprint, and no, I did not download it from anywhere. It just happened. You put engineers together in a structured thinking and system design pattern. I think that's exactly what I used, and we had some semblance of the first draft of what a platform and how the platform could be to co-create our future, not with some agenda in the backdrop, but then to truly involve the circular mindset, the circular principles, and also how the triple bottom line approach could be integrated into every phase of our ideation to implementation on the planet. That resulted in the World Economic Summit.
So now let's go backwards a little bit, if you would. I know you come from a really wonderful family and a very warm and connected family. Could you just give us a couple of highlights, share with us a couple things that you have really kind of taken from your background that have kind of led you to where you are?
Thanks, Gina. I think it's a very loaded question, but I will try to be very precise and succinct. Number one, yes, I was born into a non-family, and by the time I was 4.5, I could recite Vedas by heart. So I was born into an ultra-Orthodox conservative family, but also to parents who were progressive and progressive-minded and very supportive. And by the time I was 8.5, I was a self-proclaimed atheist, having read various different scriptures and whatnot. So the journey from there onwards was like this little kid who was a high introvert who wanted to do things for the humanity. But then again, we all get lost in our journey and chasing behind the, be it engineering degrees or what our parents want, what our society wants. And of course, being a non-conformist, it's not very easy. Trust me on that. When you get thrown out of the classrooms, I went to a Jesuit society in school, and when you spend more time on the field in sports rather than inside the four walls, not that I did lag behind in my academics, otherwise I wouldn't have been given entry back into my home and my mother. So you learn one thing, that is balance. And two, I had to thank my father for it, is to pursue what is intrinsic to you. And that I have followed. So it's a mixture of certain set of values, what your society demands, and then also to chase behind your own passion, what you truly think and believe, in essence, what is true. That is being me. What am I here for and that? So those were the questions which haunted me as a young kid. And I think that hasn't gone away. And I'm still in the journey. I don't think I have found the answer, but I roll up my sleeves and do what I believe in. And I think that's greatly contributes to what I have done and what I think, yet to do.
So the patterns that again, I would imagine the conflict also, conflicts in terms of family and yourself and what you want to do and what was demanded of you. Which are the patterns that you think have led to your greatest success that you have stuck to no matter what?
All right. That question takes me back to what my father told me before he put me into school when I was only hardly 3-year-old. So how many of us are extremely blessed and lucky enough, fortunate enough to have a parent who would say, you'll be 2 to 3 years younger than your peers. I do not want to hear a complaint against you in my house. It should not cross my threshold. Meaning a parent is saying, you will be bullied, you will be intimidated, you will face all kinds of issues, problems. What he meant to say was, deal with it. Number two, he said, on the same note, I don't want you complaining on the other people as well. The character building was what he, at that particular time, I don't think I ever understood what he said in the next 3-4 years when I had to battle it out. But then the character building is what I would refer to in retrospection. So I would thank my father for that. Also, he had said, if you are to fight a lion, a sleeping lion in a cave, you enter the cave, wake up the lion, and say, hey, I'm going to fight you and kill you, and then do so. Meaning walk your talk. So courage was, I think, the best way to describe it is he actually made us take out the dictionaries, the Oxford dictionary we have in the home, and then cross out the word fear. Literally, cross out the word try. So this is the background I come from. And my father was an accomplished, he had a master's in literature, apart from being an engineer. So the focus was on character building. I think we do not see much of that today in our younger generation, sadly. But I think I'm fortunate and blessed to have such parentage. And also in the society wherein if you gave a word, that became your promise. You didn't have to sign a piece of contract, you lived up to it. So that's what I would say a tribute to my father. He's no more in this planet, but of course watching you from wherever he is. And that's what I did. And of course my parents are also accomplished athletes, and my mother still represents India in athletics. So I think that has added to my, I would say, foray into the sports, a multidisciplinary athlete as well. And then I said,
So from home, and in terms of these values, and again, we've talked. Um, Adriana was on our call. He was interviewed, and a bunch of other people have talked so beautifully in terms of their family background. Um, Rich, poor, didn't really matter. You know, troubled, leaving home at 18, doing this, but these values that they found in their parents that were passed on. I would say probably now as a theme, as I listen to so many of my wonderful speakers, um, in terms of leading to their level of success. Let me ask you another question. What are some of the patterns that you had to overcome that would just kind of, oh, here it is again, here it is again. And as we're human, we all have them. So what did you kind of notice about yourself? And then how did you make the shifts?
the question, you see, you're talking to a high introvert. A high introvert who did not want to speak to people at all, at all. So I would make up any kind of excuse, any excuse at all, to escape the birthday parties or any parties at all. So I would run off to the mountains, and I'm, you know, being a climber, I think that's where I have taken to. But what you do also is observe. So high introverts and shy people, they observe, and it's no different here. Do you suffer for it? Yes. If you do not communicate, and then you learn to communicate, because then you got to survive. So you got to switch from a thriving to survival mode. Do you get punished for it? Oh, yeah, yes. The society definitely is a great feedback if you do listen to it. So it also builds awareness. So I had to quickly calibrate between, you know, my own survival in the society as well as sometimes possibly getting thrown out of the school itself. And thankfully, I have my principal, who was a very stern and strict Jesuit priest. At the same time, he was also my supporter and a fan. He did not tell me at that time, but then now I just met him 2 days ago. He's 82, and I think I'm blessed to have mentors. So when you have mentors, you know, you could be your friends as well, your peers as well, if you choose to allow people to be your mentor, and then that gives you the calibrations that we need to make. You know, somebody would say, "Hey, you're a dictionary. Why don't you come down to this level and speak to our level?"
So again, the
Wrong?
influence,
So those are the questions.
I'm just kind of capturing what you're saying. You know, the influence of mentors and leaders that can take you and help you to reach that next level. So again, we're starting to really look at these ingredients over time that create great leadership. There's all kinds of talks.
Yes, but then as a young child, you know, in your teens, I'm talking about early teens, you don't think in those matters. You know, we need to reach to the next level. The structured thinking usually comes later on, and when you do things, you rise up to the occasions. Like, for instance, I was a scout, not only a scout at the local level, but also at the national level. So all of these things add to it. How to think in the societal perspective, in a collective perspective, and also how to keep yourself as an individual in your survival mode, how to keep that shell, especially for high introverts. So, excuse me, that adds to it. And of course, you never dilute your vision for yourself in your life. That's more important. So for my well-being, it had to be sports and extracurricular activities, which also involve volunteering in a major, big way. As a child, of course, I'm talking about 9-year-old, 10-year-old, and I was sort of pushed into the communication aspect as well, because I was also the press correspondent for the Chess International, the first ever Chess International club in India. And unfortunately for me, my dad's first cousin was a movie producer, and he also happened to be the secretary of the first ever club which was formed. And he rightly pushed me across. Oh, he's going to be the press correspondent. Why? And I literally remember, I said, "Uncle, come home for dinner. I'm going to kill you." That's how high introvert I used to be. But then again, you know, I thank him now, of course. He's no more on the planet, but still I thank him.
So we're gonna circle back a little bit, okay? But people say that we learn from mostly from the something that we consider as a failure. Can you share with us your biggest lesson that you learned that you thought maybe at the time was a failure that turned into something that was really something that you couldn't even imagine?
Oh, there are lots of failures. I think the life is all about a mixed bag of failures, successes. I think the more number of failures will also give you more number of insights, deeper insights into how you could come back and make a successful venture again and come out on the top. I'll take three examples. One in sports. I had wanted to be a wannabe boxer. I wanted to be a boxer. I was already a national champion in martial arts and also in leading my school and my state football team at U14 and U16 as well. But then I had wanted to be a boxer. So I go to the national champion who had been 4 times national champion, self-made person from the streets and no mentors, no political influential and all of those things in the back, which truly makes a champ. And I wanted him. I wanted him to train me. He wouldn't just take me. He said, "Oh, you think you can waltz in here because you're a martial artist and a national champion that you can just take your spot under me?" I said, "No, I have left my black belt outside. I left my ego in my house, and I'm here at your doorstep." He would not budge. So this went on for 3 months. 3 months, I have begged and begged and begged. He wouldn't relent. He would just flip and use all kinds of beautiful, flowery language. And finally, I said, "I think I came to know who you are truly in person," and I walked away. I walked away determined because I don't know how to take setbacks. The only way I knew was to get up, just like a boxer does. If you get hit, you get right back up, and then you start again. So the only way for me to enter into the state team was on a wildcard entry, and then to either win the first, second, or third in the standing in the state. And I competed. I won by KO in 14 seconds, and I made it to the team, and I went to the nationals. I lost gold, and I won a silver.
So finding somebody that kind of puts an obstacle in front of you, and you find some other way around it. One of the things that Sensei and I share is that we never give up. So
what is that? What do you mean by giving up? It's not in the dictionary.
So we have time for just a couple more questions that I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to open it up. And I know you have a lovely wife and a daughter. How do you manage to balance this personal and this professional life?
I wish I had my wife right now with me, and I know she is watching this, but I am extremely fortunate in having family who understand and support me 100%. And even in times like when I'm not bringing in, our cash flow is not. As an entrepreneur, I think everybody understands that you don't have a steady cash flow, especially in my line of work. If I get funding for a company or my consulting goes in a couple of different directions, and then my transformation consulting, when I had to put it on a side to launch World Economic Summit or Operation Restore when the COVID hit everybody in the world, I hadn't slept a single night from 22nd of February 2020 to mid-September. My wife would come in the middle of the night and say, "It's time to sleep, you need rejuvenation." I say, "Yeah, I'll join right you." And it'd be 4:30 in the morning and still no, and she would say, "You're still working?" And I would say, "Yeah, I'll come." And I'd come, we'll go up to noon sometimes, and sometimes I have worked straight 48, 56 hours, 57 hours is the information I've worked. It takes, I believe, sacrifice from the family as well. And that's why I say I'm extremely fortunate in having my wife and my daughter who understand the work that I do, which the world needs. And I think it's all about reaching to the critical mass that our planet needs and humanity needs, especially in the Ukraine conflict. That my singular goal in working with the multilateral agencies was to put together all of them to initiate track and trace. There were not 450,000 kids missing out of Ukraine unaccounted for, and still agencies don't work. So my wife truly understands the importance of the work, the criticality of the nature of the work I do, and of course all the supporters, friends like you.
Yeah, and she
Can't
is
thank you.
she is a lovely, lovely, lovely person. So sacrifices that you've had to make, you just sort of alluded to, right? In terms of your own personal, sometimes health, wealth, family time, travel, giving up, leaving. You know, Sensei was, um, you know, we talk frequently, and he's always kind of coming from something, some place, somewhere to build, to continue to build this dream and this passion of his. So I'm going to leave it open for a few minutes for people. If you have any questions, just feel free. Just kind of raise your hand. You can just kind of comments, thoughts.
So I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask you something, Sensei. Excuse me. So how in your mind do you keep the flame going? Because it's really about keeping that torch and keeping it going after success or after failure. I understand that you say, well, you know, try and quit are not in our vocabulary, but how do you manage to keep that flame going?
Thank you very much for the question, Adriano. Adriano, where are you from? So that I could reach you properly.
Chicago.
All right. So good morning. I should say good afternoon, rather.
Good afternoon. Where are you? Where are you right now?
At this moment, I'm in Bangalore, India.
Okay.
These days, I'm shuttling back and forth between Bucharest and India.
Got it.
So, but thank you for the question. How do I keep the flame going? I don't know. I think you got to ask my soul, because I'm not driven by my mind. Now, as most engineers, you know, we believe in the physical brain, but I believe that mind is everywhere, and your soul drives you. If for me, it's about every single moment that I'm not contributing to our humanity in evolution, or our planet, because I'm also an environmental activist. Since young, I've been a climber, search and rescue climber. So for me, it's about what can I do? Our journey in this lifetime, in this planet, is finite. We're not going to live for 1,000 years. You know, if I live for another 14 years or 15 years, yeah, I'll be very lucky. So in this time, what is it that I can change? What is it that I can add to the ecosystem than when I came into it? Is there a way that I can make it better? Is there a way that I can put a smile on somebody's face? Is there a way that I could? I think I go back to my roots again. Now, my father walked away from my grandpa owned the entire town in this time, and then so when my father came into Bangalore, which is a cosmopolitan city, he still maintained supporting 10 families in be it the uniforms, the school books, or whatever it was. And I still remember my mother asking, you know, we have to think about ourselves. And then my father would say, yes, think that I earn only 90% of paycheck. That taught me a lot of things. You know, it's not about money. We oftentimes console ourselves by compromising. Compromise for the right reasons, right purposes, but not for the wrong excuses. That's what I have learned. So I truly don't know. I'm driven by my soul. So even if the entire town would say, you know what, this is not right on your part to do it, and if my soul feels that this is the right thing to do for humanity and the planet, I would go ahead, full steam ahead. That's just me.
Oh, thank you
Right.
for that. Yeah,
Thank you.
good question. Anything else? We only have a couple minutes, and I want to make sure, Chilo, if you would put how people could get in touch with Sensei, and the World Economic Summit website. It's global360.org. I saw that this morning. And yeah, so make sure we have that in the chat. Peggy, yes.
I just want to acknowledge you. I just appreciate all that you are and all what you bring to the world, who you are, who you've become. You have an inspiring presence. So I greatly appreciate you. And thank you, Tina, for bringing him on to this call. I'm glad I joined. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. That's truly, I think, a lot of youngsters who are watching this would or would watch later on. I would make sure that this goes on to other folks in the networks as well. Those are the words of, I think, validity, which gives to people also to look up to. And this journey is not about just me. It's about everybody on the planet. Like, for instance, we didn't touch the subject of bullying and intimidation. And the other aspect, what I truly stand for, is, of course, creating safe spaces. So, Peggy, when you say that, I thank you for that. Because, do you want me to relate one particular event, Tina? Do you want me to share if you have time?
Go ahead.
I don't know whether we have time.
If people want to stay for a couple extra minutes,
Sure.
We're good. Go ahead.
Please.
So I'll be glad to. See, I was a chess prodigy. That's what people call me. And then, so I would go to all these places playing chess tournaments, and oftentimes it would be 9:30 in the night, 10 in the night, and my father would sometimes come, sometimes don't, because he knew that I could take care of myself. And there was one incident wherein I was at risk, I would say. I would not go into the gory details of it. But then the thoughts in my mind was, what would other children do if they were in my place? I could fight back, that's what I did. But what would others do? They're not wired that way. And since then, it was my singular goal to create safe spaces, to bring down bullying in any organization, and actually to stop drug peddling and whatnot. So that has led me to different places. And my message to the youngsters would be, you don't have to take it lying down. Think what is right, because usually your soul tells you what is right and what is not. Even without the awareness spreading programs, children know what is right and what is not right. And it takes the whole world to come together. It takes, if you and I and others have the skill sets, the capabilities to protect someone, I think we should. If we don't, then I think we are as culpable as the perpetrators themselves.
Yeah, and the one thing also that we didn't mention, Sensei, is your passion for trafficking, and kind of coming to the end of child and sexual trafficking. And I know you have a foundation, and it's kind of one of your pet projects, in addition to all the other ones.
Allow me to plus you on that. Passion is not for trafficking, but to put an end for trafficking, to eradicate trafficking.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, as I've seen, firsthand what it is to be, and then also I've traveled to different countries to study systems, to study routes, where and how it happens, and who are and whatnot. So I'm more about how we could bring in interventions in a meta perspective. Like, there are so many pockets around the world, there's so many organizations that do fight this, but then collaborating is the key. And then, of course, we do not have the political will to exercise this, because there are three sides to this particular, I would say, stain on the human species. So one is the buyer. I don't think we could change much, because that is the individual level. But then on the sell side and the mediatory, that means the facilitating side, we could do a lot. So that's why I said the World Economic Summit is actually a misnomer. If we deal with the quality of living, then we are also making an impact in other areas as well, and directly or indirectly in trafficking as well. So, like, for instance, I want to set up 100 safe houses within the routes of the Southeast Asia, and then also safe houses. But these are not just safe houses; they're also economic hubs to train them, retrain them who have come out of it, and also to use them. Like, for instance, there are several organizations who train them right back in security, in hacking, and how we could use to infiltrate the traffickers themselves. And there's a lot of work to be done in this. And the whole world needs to come together. It's not just possible by one person, one organization.
And with that, we have the website for the World Economic Summit, which is coming up. And I know that, you know, everybody that's on here, and we had about 50, 60 people that actually signed up today. So even though they're not here, they will get the replay. And we can use this to, again, continue to spread these ideas and these words. And as I said, I know, you know, all of you that are on this call, and the passion and the desire and the soul is there. So Sensei, is there a particular email that you want people to send you, or can they find the email from the website?
Well, all of the websites have the coordinates. Like for instance, restoreglobal.com, I mean restoreglobal360.com is the official website for the World Economic Summit. And
We'll be sure
to
we'll send it out with the replay. Make sure to send out the email with the replay. Okay.
They could reach me out in the personal emails. Usually the official emails go to the entire team. If somebody wants to write directly to me, then it's usually the Gmail. Whatever email that you see, restoreglobal360.com, restoreglobal360@gmail.com would be mine. And I would look at the email. Same thing with Vision India 2032, or a small piece of editing there. The Vision India 2032 is a 10-year movement which started last year, a very soft launch. So it's in progress as we speak. Now, again, it's collaborative approach. So we all know how geopolitics and tectonic shifts are happening in geopolitics around the world. And my organization and my team members want to make sure that we get there where we need to get there in a equitable, responsible, inclusive manner with the humanitarian dignity in place.
There you go. All right. So we'll make sure that everybody gets this information. And this under the hood, actually, I didn't start it out the way that I usually do because I was so happy to see everybody. But Mastery Under Pressure is the name of my organization. And the under the hood is really about the patterns that are created in childhood impact us as grown-ups. And if you want to know more, anybody wants to know more about that, please get in touch with me. And thank you again, Sensei, for being here and being my guest, and all of you for joining us. And let's keep it going. You know, we have.
Thank you, Tina, for having me, and also thanks for everybody who has joined the show and watching either now or later on as well. So big hi and hello from Sensei Raj.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Nice
being
to meet
here.
everyone.
Thanks, Tina. It was great seeing you and being here.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sensei.
And come see us next month. Hal Brody, who jumped off, is going to be our guest. He's a Vistage coach, advisor, and a wonderful entrepreneur with just lots of, again, fabulous experience and a good soul. So that's kind of that's the central piece here. I like that. You know, I like the question that you asked, and I like the way you answered it, because that's what drives us, is this soul to make this world a better place. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and we'll see you next month. Bye for now.